I did my discussion post on George Whitefield's America's Spiritual Founding Father by Thomas Kidd. I did chapter 5. Now, George Whitefield was an English itinerant pastor during the Great Awakening. He was mentored by Charles Wesley, though he did not believe all of Wesley's theological beliefs. Wesley would give him the idea of starting an orphanage in Georgia, which he would accomplish. He would also meet Benjamin Franklin in Pennsylvania, where he kind of set up his home base for when he was not traveling. Whitefield and Benjamin Franklin would become close friends. Franklin would publish many of Whitefield's writings. Thomas Kidd would go on to write a book about the Founding Fathers' faith called Benjamin Franklin, The Religious Life of a Founding Father, where this explains the friendship was for profit because Benjamin Franklin would profit off of many of Whitefield's ideas, his books, his publishings, and along with some anti-Whitefield articles that would later he would recant because of talking to Whitefield. Whitefield would also try to convert Franklin through most of their friendship, which Franklin would resist. Now Whitefield would enjoy his ministry in New England because of the people being so attuned with God and their religious beliefs on the daily. He would befriend some culturally and denominationally different pastors that he could relate to, and he was also mentored by one William Tennant Sr. and befriended the son of Tennant, Gilbert Tennant. As Whitefield made his way through the middle colonies, he would see religion move away from the main focus of people's daily lives as he saw in New England. He would still have a number of people come to hear him speak and convert, but not as they would in the New England colonies. He would write to Gilbert Tennant saying, "Satan seems to lead people at his will," while he was in the Chesapeake. As he moved into the Carolinas and into Georgia, he would observe that people worshipped in an indifferent manner, stated by Kidd. Whitefield would get into controversy while he was in the Carolinas and even while he was in Georgia. He would get into the controversies with many religious leaders, such as Alexander Garden. According to David Morgan, he said that many of the preachers preached false doctrines and shrank from their duties. Many of those same pastors and people who are anti-Whitefield would say that he was too enthusiastic and an unexperienced youth. Garden would also say that Whitefield was going against his canons and ordination vows and ordered him to never preach in South Carolina again, which Whitefield would refuse to do, which caused even more controversy. When he arrived in Georgia, he did set up Bethesda Orphanage. When he was setting up Bethesda Orphanage, he would get into some controversies with the trustees of Georgia. They would clash about how to set up the orphanage, the particulars on how to get children to the orphanage. And he would even go behind the trustees' back and run the orphanage the way he wanted it, and also gather children from all over Georgia before there was even a building built. He would also clash with trustees over the fact that there was not a church set up in Savannah, which he believed should have been done, definitely since the trustees were being pushy about the moral beliefs of its residents. He would decide that it was best that he run the orphanage at a distance and fundraise while he was preaching. He would then send the money back to the orphanage for it to be built and to be run. He would return at later dates. So, in deciding to run the orphanage at a distance, he would go back through the colonies and continue his preachings.